Welcome to another episode of TFarrell Presents, Life from a Levite's Perspective. I'm your host, Terrence Farrell, aka TFarrell. And lately, I've had quite a bit of people asking me about the voiceover industry. Can you make any money at it? Is it just as simple as grabbing a mic and doing a couple commercials and like send it out there, see what comes back? So I know somebody that's in the voiceover industry, asked him if he'd come on, and he agreed. So today, our special guest is TJ Thomas. Now, his clients include IBM, BMW, Target, Uber, McDonald's, the Weather Channel, Amazon, Chase, Peloton, Adidas, and the list goes on and on. I couldn't put everything on there. I still be here reading and reading. He's also a husband and a father. And I'm gonna tell you, that brings in challenges all in and of itself. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, help me welcome TJ Thomas. TJ, how you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I've never done a podcast before. This is my first podcast, so
that's all right. All it is, it's just it's a regular candid conversation. We just gonna chop it up and just got a whole bunch of people watching us.
That's fine.
Cool. So I wanted to ask, first of all, how'd you get into doing voiceovers?
It kind of happened by accident. It started maybe a few years ago when I was pursuing more on-camera work. So I was in the middle of that and, trying to be this big TV and film actor. And, I had a couple of little things going on, but my manager that I had at the time, she had sent me on a voiceover audition, and it was just a lot of fun. I thought it was a lot of fun when I did it. I almost got the job. I didn't quite get the job, but I knew I was close to getting the job. So once I found I had all that fun with the audition process, I started to research it a little more. What do I need to do? How can I get into it? Where do I find more auditions? So forth and so on. And that's kind of how it developed. And then, you're looking at maybe 4 years later, and I'm kicking it and rolling, and it's taking up most of my time. So that's really been like the catalyst of it and how it kind of formed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, is this something that you do full time now?
For the most part, yes. Okay. It's my primary source of income.
Got you.
That it kind of dwelled into. I actually still keep a night job just so the baby can have health benefits.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm doing this. I'm in my studio in my booth from like 9 a.m. till 5 or 6, sometimes later.
That's what's up.
Not talking. It's not talking the whole time, but I treat it like a full-time business. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now what else goes into it? Because I look, a lot of people look at it as, hey, you just get the script, you read it a couple times, boom, you're done. You get another script, you read it a couple times, boom, you're done. I know how to read. I got a mic. Let's do it. Okay.
So there's like 3 steps that I think it is to really get into voiceover. A lot of people don't understand. One, it's not just talking or reading or anything like that. It really is acting. So when you have an acting background, it helps. But then you need training from the voiceover perspective, because, it's a lot different when it's just you and a piece of paper and you're just there by yourself. Mm-hmm. So you really have to be able to put yourself in an acting world, be able to break down a voiceover script, because it's different from an acting script, because generally in an acting script, you have dialogue, right? In voiceover, you might have a paragraph to say. You might have one sentence. You have like the movie trailers where you'll see a whole movie trailer, and then at the end, you just see rated R. It's just right. all of these things matter. So the first step is really training. You train. I still get coaching to this day. It never stops. It's an ongoing process. After you get training, then you're looking to get a demo. Usually the person you're training with, the classes you take, they kind of let you know when you're ready to get a demo. And it has to be like a professional demo, it has to be a professional demo depending on how you're trying to take it. If you're just doing it, testing it out, trying to see, maybe I can put something up on, like Fiverr.com or something like that. Maybe you don't need a professional demo. But if you're trying to do it seriously, trying to get like agents and things of that nature, you definitely need a professional demo, which is basically you get in a studio behind a mic and, with engineers and with a coach, and you knock out about 5 or 6 scripts. And then they chop it up and they make it into like a quick flash bit of what you can do. From there, it then becomes a business. Because voiceovers is really a business. So like I have to do a lot of my own marketing. I have to do a lot of my own invoicing. I have to do a lot of my own bill collecting. Sometimes I'm chasing people down for a couple of months.
Right.
It's really working a business. So you have to have that business acumen. And then when you're lucky, you get a job or two and you actually get to do voiceover.
Wow.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't really understand that the job of a voiceover artist is really to audition. Most of the time, you're out of work. You're most of the time you're out of work, and you spend the majority of your time auditioning, and you have to have fun with that audition process because you're auditioning more than anything else. There are months where I do maybe 200 auditions, and you get maybe 4, 5 jobs.
Wow.
You get maybe 4 or 5 jobs. So, that a lot of that also comes from the business acumen of it. So the auditions are one thing. And then I'm researching companies, seeing who in these companies are casting voiceovers, because a lot of times with voiceover, the big companies, they don't cast it in-house. You get what I'm saying? They cast it, they go to production companies, and then the production companies do the casting. So when I'm not auditioning, when I'm not doing voiceover, I'm researching production companies. I'm researching who's doing the casting in those production companies. And then I'm reaching out to them and I'm like, hey, I'm a voiceover guy. You need me?
Right.
And so it's stages. I spend the least amount of time behind a mic actually doing paid work. So that's like, that comes to like a rate thing where, because you spend the least amount of time doing paid work, when you do paid work, you have to make sure that it's worth it. So it's a matter of understanding and knowing what you're supposed to charge, how much you're supposed to charge, and not undercutting yourself. Just, it can be a while. Oh man, I haven't, worked in a while. Maybe I'll do a job for a little less than maybe what I want to do it for. And you kind of have to have the patience to not do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what it goes into. Auditioning or training, get your demo, and then it's a lot of auditioning and marketing and to really get yourself out there. And then it kind of has a snowball effect to where, when you audition with somebody, like for me personally, if I audition with someone and, they hire me, I get a good job, then I'm putting them on my client list. Right. So now, and part of my marketing is to email them every couple of months, just, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Just kind of like hey, I'm still here. And then what happens is when you do good work, then they just send you stuff. So even though, yes, I'm now auditioning all this, 200 times a month, now I also have people just sending me random emails that keeps me sustained, saying, hey, here's a job. how quick can you do this? Sometimes it's like, hey, can you do this in like 2 hours? Sometimes it's like, can you do it by tomorrow? And you kind of have to work out your schedule and be flexible and all that good stuff. So
Right.
it's fun. It's fun when you get to do it, but it's so much more that goes into it than just, being behind the mic.
Right. No, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people look at it as, oh man, I get a script, I read it, that's it. And the training part, I didn't even think about the training part. Like that's because I figure if you got a good voice, you practice a couple times, you get the intonation, you sound happy, but I didn't even think about, no, there's professional training. There's things you do, there's things you don't do. There's timing, there's pauses, there's all of that.
And it's funny because a lot of people, I've been told, it's just talking. And then I say, well, why don't you come try it? And then it's like, the red dog did this, and it just doesn't sound, and they're like, wow, this is a lot harder than it looks. And I'm like, yeah, because one, you're not used to hearing yourself. You get these headphones on, you're not used to hearing yourself. So that just throws you off automatically. And, it's a lot of people, like you said, I have a good voice, I think I should do voiceover. And nowadays, 20 years ago, 90s, 80s, it was really about, the big voice and everything. But if you listen to commercials, they're having a conversation with you. It's not just, the big voice stuff is out there, but it's not, that's not what's booking all of the commercials. So it's really it's much less about your voice and more about how you connect to the script. And connecting to the script is generally what books you jobs. So that's kind of where the acting part comes in, because that's what allows you to connect to a script, and then you get the training and a quick tip that I usually tell people when they're like, how can they read a script? You're having a conversation with someone. So every line in the script is kind of like an answer to a question that the other person is asking you. So you envision that other person, whoever you're talking to, and you think about them asking a question, and your part in the script is you answering that question. And then depending on who you're talking to changes up how you say the script. So, yeah. Nice.
So now, with all of the success that you've had, because you got some big names on there, man. I know. It probably looks bigger than it really is.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, it's funny because sometimes, I just keep my head down and I'm always just doing the work. So I don't really realize it until somebody else says it. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I guess that's pretty cool.
No, it is pretty cool. So my question is, what lessons have you learned from, I guess, getting this far in being a voiceover artist?
I could say maybe primarily it's two things. The first, kind of what I already touched on, I didn't realize when I got into it how much of a business person I had to be. You really, it's a business. It's a business, and if you don't treat it as such, you won't be successful. There are a lot of people who've been doing this for years, and they were doing it the old way. You get an agent, and they just send you auditions, and the agent handles everything, and you do your audition, you do your job, the agent sends you a check. So when voiceover, because the funny thing about voiceover is that now voiceover is about 90% non-union. Most of the things you hear on TV, most of the commercials are all non-union commercials. So because they're non-union commercials, you, as a voiceover artist, have to do a lot more legwork. So a lot of people who weren't used to that kind of have not really been able to survive the change that voiceover went through. I came into it when it was already there, so there's not much adjustment that I had to do. But understanding that it's really a business is something that I really didn't know, because I was coming from the acting world, hey, I'll do more auditions and let's see what happened. And then when I got to voiceover, I found there was a whole nother world, a whole nother side to it. So, being able to become more of a businessman, that was one thing. And I guess it also just reinforced, something, that I already knew, which was, persistence and consistency and how important it is. Because 95% of the time you're getting told no, and it's funny because with voiceover, you're kind of isolated, so you don't get really any feedback. You get this audition in the email from wherever you get your auditions from, and you sit there, you get the script, you do whatever you need to do in your head, and then you send it off, and you really don't hear anything back unless you get the job.
Right.
So you don't know if it was a good audition. I mean, I guess it's a good audition if they send you more auditions, but other than that, you could have the best audition and not get the job. Right. It doesn't, that it's such a subjective industry. So having the persistence and consistency to keep at it, will also, help you to be more successful. So just having that reinforced is something that, getting in this industry really, did for me.
Nice. Now, I was looking through your social media account, and I scrolled back a little bit, and I forgot you used to do comedy also.
Yeah, I don't. I can't say that I used to. I did it twice. Like literally, I was on stage twice. So that's just one of the things I kind of did for fun.
Right.
That was a fun thing, and people laughed. So that was cool. I didn't completely suck. But again, I think I think that goes into what I was just saying about the voiceover with like being persistent and consistency.
Right.
It's funny because like I took a class, like I took a comedy class that kind of teaches you how, to do joke, like not really how to, it doesn't teach you how to be funny, but how to like maybe like do a set, how to do a stand-up set, and the proper the protocol for jokes, and like certain rules, the rule of three, and things of that nature. And a lot of people in that class was like, "Oh man, you're the funniest guy here," and they're still doing comedy. They're still in the comedy clubs, and they're still booking stuff. And me, I was just, I had about 4.5 minutes of material, and I thought about 2.5 minutes of that was actually funny. And, and so, I mean, it's something that I probably could have kept pursuing, but I didn't, I didn't have I respected the energy that it took to do it. And I said, nah, that's not really for me, but I enjoyed it. I had, it was probably about a 3-month period of my life where it was like, okay, this is fun. It's one of those things to check off the bucket list.
Right. No, I thought when we were in New Jerusalem together, I thought you did it for a little longer than that.
No, it was really only for about 3 months, like from the beginning of the class to the two shows. Like it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. I just it was just something to do really quick, and to see how it goes. And the first show, went really well. I'll tell you a quick story about that, which was funny. They put me on after one of their established comedians, right? And my coach in the class was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like, because they're putting you on after somebody who does this all the time, and the crowd will be warmed up and all this other stuff, right? the guy gets up there and he completely bombs. Like, he's not getting a single laugh.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, oh, this is great. But it worked out well for me. And for that one show, and then the comedy club, Gotham Comedy Club in New York, they invited me back for a second show. And I only was able to add 2 jokes to my original set, and I was like, yeah, I don't have the wherewithal of being comedy clubs every night trying to figure out what's funny and what's not. So
right.
I respect the people who do it, because I really understand what goes into it, but that just it wasn't for me to really just pursue. So
mm-hmm. No, I mean, I just like the fact that you're all about getting training for whatever it is you want to try, whatever it is. It's like, I want to do this. Let me get training, rather than, you know what? I want to do this. Let me throw something against the wall, see what sticks, figure it out from there, pick up the stuff that sticks, throw some more, hopefully more sticks. But you go out and actually get training and say, if I'm going to do it right.
Yeah. I mean, cause when I do something, I like to really jump in it with both feet. So when I do it, I want to be prepared, at least as best as I can, so I can limit my my chances of failure. Like, you could even say, with comedy, I didn't fail. I was getting claps and applause and the whole thing in between jokes, but it's just something that I chose not to continue to pursue. So I really, I mean, and everybody fails. Of course, everybody fails, but I don't I like the fact that I can jump in and do things and be like, yeah, and then say, all right, this isn't for me, and then I just go on to something else.
Right, you go out on a high.
Yeah, of course, go out on top. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, exactly. There you go. So now let me ask this. Let me flip this a little bit.
Okay.
What's been one of the toughest things, and it could be from any part of life, one of the toughest things that God's brought you through?
Okay. All right. So, so the first week and a half of fatherhood was tough, and I'll tell you why. So my wife, she gave birth, she had the baby, everything was good. We were home 4 days after she gives birth. She's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. She's like, oh, I got a little headache. Not really feeling well. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. I have the baby in the living room. My parents had came over to see the baby, and we're all in there. And she's back in the bedroom. So I go back there. My mother had already left. My father was getting ready to leave. We had some fish because my wife's father, my father-in-law, he likes to go fishing, and when he goes, my father loves to eat fish, so he leaves some fish for my dad. My father's like, all right, I'm getting ready to go. Let me get my fish. I don't know where the fish is, so of course I got to go ask my wife. I say, hey, where's my dad's fish? And she's like, oh, it's in the freezer. And then she's like, where's the Tylenol? And I'm like, it's on the nightstand right there. And she's reaching for it, but she's like, I don't see it. I can't get it. And then she's like, you look really blurry. And I'm like, I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And right after she said that, she immediately went into a seizure. Right? Oh. Immediately went into a seizure. And she's had this really bad seizure. We call the ambulance. They come, they kind of get her stable. They take her to the hospital. In the ambulance, she has another seizure on the way to the hospital. And she had to spend about 3 or 4 days in ICU. Right, from that point. No warnings of this whatsoever. So it turns out she had something called eclampsia, and the seizures were brought on by a spike in blood pressure, which was really weird because she normally, you've met my wife, she's petite. So she normally has really, really low blood pressure, right? So when they were in the hospital and they were taking her blood pressure and it was at normal levels, it really didn't cause any alarms. But then her blood pressure spiked up to like 180 over something, and it just caused a seizure. She was in ICU. Like, she didn't remember having the baby. Like, she thought she was still pregnant. Like, she was having trouble like seeing colors at one point. All these things. It took about 3 or 4 days. And then after that, she started to, kind of recover. Then she remembered having the baby and all these different things. So, so that whole time she was at like an ICU or whatever, that was me being in the hospital with her, staying overnight. My mom was nice enough to stay with the baby, while I was at the hospital. And then I'd leave the hospital during the day, come home, give my mom relief, and then I'm up all day with the baby.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of that cycle. She was in the hospital for about a week in total. And then, when she came home, it was still some, you have to do some couple of recovery things. But, happy now that she's made a full recovery, like has no signs of anything. She just, she doesn't remember. Like, she remembers talking to me, and then she remembers like 3 or 4 days later. So that whole time for her is lost. But the crazy thing about that story is I had a doctor's appointment that day, right? I had a doctor's appointment that day. And when she was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling well," I was like, "Okay, I think I'm gonna stay home." Cause, I don't really like going to the doctor anyway. So, you're not feeling well. It's a good reason for me to stay home, stay with the newborn. And, at first she was like, "No, go." I was like, "No, I think I'll stay." And when she had the seizure, that would have been the exact time I would have been at the doctor. Right. So if I would have went to the doctor, she would have they said she pretty much would have just kept having seizure after seizure, and until she was either in a coma or brain dead. Whoa. With a newborn in the house. So yeah. So that was kind of crazy. And when like things like that happen, and it's like, wow, this happened exactly when I was supposed to be at the doctor, that's when you could really see, God's hand in things, and definitely and how it's working. And it's funny because I was talking about it one day, and I was like, I could probably trace that years to see things that God moved years ago, and how it affected this one particular position. Because, like at one point her father wasn't going fishing. So, and she was thinking about, it was a Father's Day, and she was like, "Dad, I don't know what I'm going to get my dad for Father's Day." And then she was like, "Oh, he used to like to fish, so maybe we'll take him fishing." And then from that fishing trip, he, just fell back in love with fishing. And now he goes fishing a few times a month, to like now my dad saying, "Hey, where's my fish?" Which if she wouldn't have got him that fishing trip, there would be no fish. Right. To me having to go in and ask her to that particular point in time of her having a seizure. So, all those different things, you can put together, and you see that, and you're just like, yeah, all right, God, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. So that was a crazy time, but, we're very fortunate that, she's okay. And, my daughter has her mom for, hopefully for a much longer time.
That's what's up. Wow. Yeah, with a newborn, that's deep.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, you're not leaving me like a single dad. I don't know what to do with this kid.
Oh man. Yeah. So, dude, I really appreciate. So, I always like to ask the inverse of that too. From what's one of your most memorable success stories?
Most memorable success stories.
Because I know you got many. I know you got many.
Because like I don't know, because I guess you could say I have many. Like I think of them all like as like tiny little successes, because like I can't say that there's been like one like huge life-changing success. For me, every little success, just brings more confidence, especially when it comes to voiceover. Like when I did voiceover, when I started, and I didn't know, I had really no idea what I was doing. one of my first jobs was actually a documentary for the Weather Channel. And I listen to that now, and I was just like, these people were crazy for hiring me. Like, this is terrible. But it was in place to help me build confidence and to help, keep it going. So, I mean, it's been, I've, as you've thrown in the comedy thing, I've done so many things in my life where it's been like, yeah, this has been a little success. This has been another little success. Even, like, it's funny, like even failures, like even failures, like when I had really took up acting and I was trying to do on film acting, I got to a point where I had to leave the day job that I had. And it was funny. So it was either keep this day job or do this play. It was an off-Broadway play, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, it's time to leave the day job. So I leave the day job and the off-Broadway play gets canceled. Oh. So then it was just like, okay, so what do I do? So I kept going to my auditions and, and then what I would do at night, strangely, I would play poker. So I would go, I would go to a casino and, like Texas Hold'em. And, I was really good. I was really, it was very lucrative and I was really, I was really good. And I did that. Playing poker was my primary source of income for like 2 years.
What?
Yeah.
All right. For all those that have gambling issues,
yes,
there's a hotline for that.
There is. And to be really fair, like I've seen people with those issues and like, you be at the poker table with these people because 95% of them are like really good people and everybody's really chill and, they're just really there to have some fun. And like, I've seen people and I've been like, yo, you're losing a lot. Like this is, it's not your night. Go home. Yeah. Because, me personally, I've never had I never had it as a problem, and when I stopped, I stopped, even to this day, I've probably played maybe once in like the last 5 years. Like it's not, for me, it was never like, an addiction thing or anything like that. It was really just, I need to pay my bills right now. And I know and I know I can do this. Yeah, I can do that. And it was cool. And I was really good. But like, I've done things like that. You have the comedy, like I just do whatever. And, cause my grandma used to say that when I was a kid, that I wasn't bad, but I only got in trouble cause I liked to play. and I'm probably still like that. I'm probably still like that where, I'd rather, have do things that are more fun and figure out a way to make money out of that than, sit in a cubicle all day. No offense to anybody who does, but, that's just, that's not for me per se. Mm-hmm. So with that, getting back to your question of successes, I just kind of feel like everything kind of snowballs with me. Mm-hmm. And you get these little successes here and little successes there. And then you kind of see, like I said earlier, you kind of see God's hand. People I've met playing poker, accountants, lawyers, politicians and judges, like all these people that I've played poker with, I can still call to this day. And if I need something from that particular industry, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm, so, you kind of see how all of those, snowball and manifest where you are today, based on your past experiences. So I just kind of, I kind of enjoy the successes when I see them. Right. Like I'll give you like 2 weeks ago, I actually heard a voiceover on TV for the first time. So, nice. And it was just like, oh, and it just happened to be a show that I DVR'd. And so like I have it now and I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to delete it. That was pretty cool, right. And so at first I was like, oh, interesting, cause I've never heard my voiceover on TV. Like I've been like acting on TV before, but I haven't heard my voice on TV. So that was like the first time. that I actually heard myself. People have told me that they've heard me.
Right,
And they're like, oh, yo, I heard you on such and such. But that was the first time that I actually heard me. I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, that's what's up. Whatever works, man. Because I guess in a sense, it just keeps you hungry and going for the next thing. You don't have these big highs and big lows. Oh man, I got this. It's like, oh man, I got nothing right now. And you could do the roller coaster thing. Which,
I can definitely. Yeah, I'm cool with the roller coaster thing because, even now, it was like now I have the campaign. It's like I think it's on social media somewhere where it's a campaign for Peloton. And while it was great and it paid great and, it's a big company and, as soon as you, like I said, as soon as you do the job and the job is over, I'm unemployed. So I need to find the next thing. So a lot of times you don't have time to really, revel too much in it and just like, wow, yeah, I can't. So I don't know. I guess that's why when you were like running off all the people that I worked with, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's fun, but I don't have time to really stick with it because what's the next thing? And and also, it's there's always there's like a roller coaster to the pay scale depending on how the voiceover is used. Because like a lot of people, they think commercials and movie trailers or whatever, and those are great. Those are also among the hardest to get. What really sustains people in terms of voiceover are like mostly the things that people never ever hear. It's like the corporate stuff. It's you're on your job. Like I think you mentioned Target. What I did for Target wasn't a commercial. It was actually HR training that only people in their internal, corporate office heard. That. You get that all the time, and that doesn't have the pay scale of, a big national commercial. Those are like the jabs that keep you in the fight. And then, you get the commercial, that's the big boom right cross. And then you're like, all right, yeah, now what? And you got to go back to jab.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's cool. I mean, but it puts the name on the resume though.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there's still a client. There's still, and I was like actually talking to the Target people. Like it wasn't like through like some video production company. Like I impressed the Target people. Like, come on back, y'all.
That's what's up. So what's next for you now, man?
Oh man. Let's see. Kind of like I said, you never really know. Okay. So it's definitely auditions. I know I have next month. I have something that I'm doing for the PGA. And,
now I don't want you to get in trouble if you start saying names before you're allowed to say names.
No. I think it's good. They've already booked it. It's on my calendar, so I don't think they're going to change it. And between now and then, there's 10 jobs will pop up between now and then. Nice. I can tell you that this past weekend I just did a short film. I went back on camera for the first time in like
nice
3 or 4 years, so that was cool. And I just did. What did I just do? I just did something for the CDC a couple days ago.
Oh, and, wow! Okay.
Yeah. And then I have the church play Christmas time, so the church play is coming up. And other than that, again, with me being all over the place, it's basketball season, and I coach high school basketball. So
I didn't know that.
I coach girls high school basketball at a private school in Manhattan. So
come on, Kobe.
Wow. So that all of that and that takes up a lot of time as well. So I stay busy.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, dude. I really appreciate you, man. How can people connect with what you're doing next?
You can always connect to me through all social media. It's usually TJ Thomas NY. Or you can check out my website, www.tjthomas.net. And, cool. You can hear some of these things that Terrence was talking about, or hear my demos and things like that.
Nice. Man, I really thank you for taking out the time. I thank you for your insight, man. I know it's going to help people. It educated me as well. Cause after a while I was like, man, I think I could do that too. Yeah. I just get on there and go, yes, the ultimate driving machine.
Yeah. Yes.
But,
yes. BMW, that is.
Yes. But it's a whole lot more than just, saying that phrase and sending it to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Going,
yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you. I thank you for all those that are watching. Continue to subscribe, like, share it with somebody else you think it'll help out. Our prayer is that God uses something from this episode to speak to you directly. And we'll see you next week. And with that, we're out.